really SpongeBob time again? I thought Sonic had a hard time staying off this channel. What's up, guys? What's up? What's happening? What's going on? Welcome back to Animation Station, your number one stop destination for anything and everything animation, including a sponge that lives in a pineapple under the sea. Welcome to Season 4 of SpongeBob SquarePants. Oh, I'm excited. This was my favorite one as a kid, and it's still one of my top 5 favorite seasons of the entire show, so... Needless to say, I am super excited to get done this review series and just glow about all these episodes because, with the exception of a few, like really 4 out of 38 episodes, I think the rest of them are okay to outstanding. In fact, there are 6 10 out of 10 episodes in this series. So, without further ado, let's just jump right in, shall we? Do it how we always do it, except with the exception that I have a face cam for these ones now. That way I don't have to keep, clicking my phone to keep it from falling asleep and cutting it off and messing with the cut. You know what happens when that happens, so. Without further ado or delay, let's begin. With fear of a Krabby Patty. In this episode, SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs, keeps open the Krusty Krab 24 hours a day, and at first it has no effect on SpongeBob, but it has serious effect on Squidward, because of course it does. And then Plankton makes a order for 10,000 Krabby Patties, and it starts to seriously break down SpongeBob that by day 43, he's pretty much completely lost it. Now he thinks everyone's a Krabby Patty, and it's really messing with him, and he's scared out of his mind, so... Krabs sends him to a psychiatrist to get some help, but unknown to him, it's Plankton in disguise, and he's trying to get the Krabby Patty formula out of him. But he inadvertently actually ends up curing his insomnia and, all those problems, and he goes right back to work. This is the first episode of Season 4, and it's the first one without Steven Hillenburg's involvement, because after the movie, he and a whole bunch of the writers pretty much jumped ship, and... people say, well, then that means that the show is automatically garbage now because all the people that made it are gone. No, I wouldn't say that. I'd say it's a slow descent. It's slow because it's not until like the back half of this season that you really start feeling it start to slip. Like, for most of this season, it's actually pretty positive, and there's a lot of excellent episodes in this season, and this is one of them. This is a classic modern SpongeBob episode. And there were so many highlights I could point out, but let's just point out the obvious one. Hey, where'd you get that piano? And then he brings it back again when they're doing the cards, and he's like, I arranged them into a giant piano. This is just an episode that makes me laugh. Great visual gags, great writing, excellent voice acting, and it's just so funny. And not to mention the aliases that Plankton uses are just hilariously stupid. And then there's parts like, oh, a spider. Like, just little touches like that really make this episode great. Like, what's another one? Oh, look at my bags under my eyes. Even my bags have bags. I could talk about this episode forever, but you guys know how it is. We usually get short, sweet, and to the point with these episode reviews, unless it's a double-length special, so... yeah, overall, this episode's a 9 out of 10. This remains one of the most fun episodes of this entire season, and it's just all around a blast. So, yeah, if you haven't, for some reason, watched this episode yet, watch it. It is an absolute modern classic. And speaking of modern classic, let's move on to our second episode, Shell of a Man. Oh man, am I excited to talk about this one. Oh man, I love this episode. Like, this is already. You wanna know how great this episode and this season is? It's only the second episode of the season, we're already at our first 10 out of 10. Just gonna say that right now, so. Yep, let's dive in, shall we? In this episode, Mr. Krabs molts his shell right before he's about to reunite with his old Navy buddies for, kind of like how some seniors have a high school reunion sort of thing. You know what I mean. And through a bunch of insinuating, wacky circumstances, SpongeBob ends up in Mr. Krabs' shell, and Mr. Krabs gets the idea of letting him pretend to be him for the Navy reunion, and then he just follows him and hides in a little coral bush by the door. So SpongeBob pretends to be Mr. Krabs, and it's absolutely amazing to watch. And there's so many great highlights in this episode, just with him trying to act tough. But I think the funniest one has got to be, "Fire the torpedo!" where he gets punched right in the armor abs. And then he spits out one tooth, then he spits out two teeth, and then he spits out his whole freaking skeleton. That's the kind of dark jokes that I love in these kind of cartoons, where they're not overly disgusting, but they're just dark in a very comedic way. And this is one of them, where he just spits out his whole skeleton. Like, his whole skeleton. Like, his skull, his spinal cord, and his ribs all just get spat out of his mouth. And then there's the speech where he tries to act tough. "Me supply of bubble soap was dangerously low." And then the final one, how they actually reveal him, is that he gives a belly bump to Torpedo Belly and gets sent across the room. And then Mr. Krabs reveals what happened to him, and then it turns out the Navy Buddies also had something that they lost with their old age. And it's such a great episode that really shows, has a really nice message about how you're going to lose something when you grow old, but that doesn't mean you're any less tough than you used to be. Like, it's such an awesome episode. It's great for adults, and it's great for kids. It has that great, perfect balance. It's just such a phenomenal episode. I literally have nothing more to say. Final verdict for this episode, I already said it. It's a 10 out of 10. And yes, it's the best of the two we've reviewed today, but it's not by much, because both these episodes are great, but I just feel like Shell of a Man has a much more deeper message for adults, which is why I gave it the slight edge. So, yeah, we're already off to a great start with these reviews. So, yep, tomorrow we have a double 10 out of 10. Just saying that right now. We have two of the best episodes and arguably all of SpongeBob next time. But before we do that, it's time to bring back a fan favorite. Yeah, it's another instance where I waited too long and it turned into a hiatus. I'm sorry. So, see you guys later today for Aquatic Neptune, Krusty Krab, Ketamine.